it but maybe with 80,000 as a base, a constructive move may still be a quarter away. But individual sectors and sector rotation is happening. And the principal reason for that is the delayed monsoons, in my opinion, which could be in the short run, presenting India with a problem that it has not seen so much, like the rest of the world, which is inflation. Because through this entire crisis, Ukraine, etc., India managed bilateral trades, India managed bilateral deals where we did buy oil very below market prices. Therefore, inflation hasn't really hit us. In fact, the government in fact has been collecting windfall taxes from some of the oil.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. We'll be starting in a minute.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for logging in. Today is a momentous day. आज हमारा ग्रैंड फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी सेशन का लॉन्च है एंड थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस वर्चुअली एंड बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस सेशन. The team has put in massive effort to do this, so thank you for making that happen. I am Pushkina. I head marketing for Refyne, and आज I wanted to capture a specific story behind Refyne. I want to start off with why specifically Refyne kind of started, and because this is a special initiative from our end, I wanted to take a moment to share कि Refyne का vision क्या है. And before Mr. K Narayan sir takes over, Refyne का sole purpose start करने का, जब हम 4-5 लोग जब जुड़े और इसको स्टार्ट किया, तो द कोर फोकस वाज कि हम पर्सनल फाइनेंस को कैसे सिंप्लीफाई कर सकते हैं, राइट? हमें स्कूल कॉलेजेस में पर्सनल फाइनेंस के बारे में कुछ बताया नहीं जाता है, एंड एज यू ग्रो अप एंड जैसे आप अपने लाइफ में आगे बढ़ते हैं, आपको कुछ कुछ चीजें पता चलती हैं, आप अपने नेबर से पूछते हैं, रिलेटिव से पूछते हैं, ऐसे करके आप अपनी नॉलेज बढ़ाते रहते हैं. तो हमारा पूरा ऑब्जेक्टिव ये था कि इंडिया में इतने सारे एम्प्लॉयज हैं, इतने सारे हम लोग काम करते हैं, बट ये इतना फंडामेंटल एस्पेक्ट नॉलेज क्यों नहीं शेयर हो रहा है, ज्यादा क्यों नहीं लोगों को बताया जा रहा है. तो इसको सेंटर फोल्ड में रखते हुए पूरा Refyne का जर्नी स्टार्ट हुआ, एंड दिस इज वेयर Refyne टुडे इज, दैट वी आर होस्टिंग the financial literacy session at such a large scale. And हम मतलब हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव ही ये है कि हम कैसे करोड़ों लोगों तक पहुंचे और ये पूरा जो सेशन आज का है उन तक पहुंचे एंड लोग उससे बेनिफिट कर सकें. ये ऑल्सो हमारा एक विजन है. Some of you might be aware, स्पेशली जो एम्प्लॉयज हैं जो पार्टनर कंपनी से ज्वाइन करे हैं, उनको पता होगा कि हमने पूरा ये Refyne फेस्टिवल चल रहा है. हमारा विजन है टू मेक Refyne फेस्टिवल द लार्जेस्ट फाइनेंशियल पर्सनल फाइनेंस फेस्टिवल इन इंडिया एंड होपफुली ग्लोबली, बिकॉज ये जो राइट है ऑफ नोइंग एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग पर्सनल फाइनेंस इज समथिंग दैट एवरीवन शुड अंडरस्टैंड एंड एवरीवन शुड have the means to kind of take their journey of personal finance. So without jumping right into the, without taking too much time, I wanted to introduce, Mr. K Narayan sir. Please welcome our esteemed guest. He is a veteran capital market mein with over 30 years of experience. And sir has led Tamilnadu Investors Association for 15 years and also served as a trustee at the National Stock Exchange. आप लोगों को NSE और BSE के बारे में जो लोग savvy हैं उनको पता होगा. With expertise in financial planning and commitment to investor protection, Sir has addressed multiple programs nationwide, spreading financial literacy. So without taking too much time, I welcome Mr. K Narayan to lead the session. आज वो लोन एक बहुत ही important subject है, and I think हम में से सब ने किसी ना किसी at some point लोन लिया होगा या plan कर रहे होंगे लोन लेने का. तो उनका subject matter जो आज वो कवर करने वाले हैं, इट इज ऑल अबाउट मैनेजिंग लोन्स. आई थिंक आप लोगों को बहुत बेनिफिट होगा उनके सेशंस को ज्वाइन और अंडरस्टैंड करने में. एंड अगर आपके कोई फ्रेंड्स हैं, कोई फैमिली मेंबर है जिनको जो इस मामले में थोड़ा स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं, आप उनके साथ ये शेयर करिएगा. हम सेशन के दौरान गूगल फॉर्म भी शेयर करेंगे, तो प्लीज फील फ्री टू सबमिट योर डिटेल्स. एंड विद दिस the floor is for Sir. Sir, welcome to the financial coaching session and welcome to the Refyne Festival.
Thank you. Thank you, Pushkina. Good evening to all. First of all, hearty congratulations to Refyne for conducting such a lovely program. I'm sure the participants will largely benefit by this program of this evening. You rightly said that personal finance is not taught properly or not being taught at all in the schools. A little bit is happening in the colleges for young citizens. And it is very important for people to not only to earn money, save money, invest money, and they need to manage their loans very well. Because today, most of the people are having, issues, small, big, whatever it is, but loan is a major thing which is having implication in their working and managing their money. So today we are going to talk to you about how the loans are being taken by individuals, whether it is for creation of assets or for borrowing money for personal things and for buying a vehicle, buying a house, or whatever it is. But today the loans go hand in hand for all the wage earners. There are multiple varieties of loans available for individuals, but one needs to be very careful and choosy before taking a loan because it has got implication. People simply use the credit card, multiple credit cards. It's very dangerous because the interest rates are cumulative, compounding, and penalty charges are very high if you don't honor the commitment on the due date. Likewise, we must say we need to consolidate the loan. Many people think they can just borrow money here and there and then, pay as they please. It will not work because high interest rate loans are too many in India, especially. And if you don't consolidate your debts, you will run into serious issues. So your objective should be to choose the correct loan, from where to take the loan and how to go about. So consolidation is very important and reduction of interest is very important, and also borrowing very, very sensibly. So today I'm going to talk to you about the various things which are happening for the regular wage earners, especially the personal loan. People love to borrow money for whatever may be the reason, whether to improve their home, for travel, for buying some mobile phone, laptop, travel abroad, whatever may be the thing, or starting some small businesses, whatever, the reasons can be many. If some borrower comes and if a lender comes and gives you money, people love to take it, but they don't go deep into the matter. I'm very happy today that Refyne has taken a decision to create a financial awareness and by means of conducting a financial planning program for the audience today. It is very important for each one of you to understand how the loans work and how the lenders expect you to perform after giving the loans from their end. Many people ask a question, what will happen if I miss a loan repayment? It's very easy to say that, but if you're going to miss your payment, it'll hurt you by means of a credit score. Many times I've seen people just like that miss out the EMI payment or, some credit card payment, and it hurts them very, very badly. So bad credit will also attract penalty and high interest rates. And once your credit score goes down in the initial years, it will be very, very tough for you to borrow money in the later part of your life. So borrowing with high interest rate complicates the matter further. So we need to be extraordinarily careful while borrowing. Various components of the loans are available for you. Some are with collateral, some are not with the collateral, but many people don't pay attention to signing the agreement because it is too many pages, very small letters, they give you data, but doesn't matter. But what is important for you to understand is how many years of loan you're taking, how many months of loan you have to repay, and what is the commitment for you to pay back. If you don't have the cash flow, you'll be suffering because the loans have to match your cash flow. No problem in taking a loan for meeting a certain expenses, but it cannot be a regular feature, but you should know how to manage your loan once you take. The reasons have to be good. You can't just take a loan and splash your money, but not being able to repay the loan. So understand, these are a very important situations. I remember a couple of years ago in 2020, during COVID period, people didn't have money when they were struck with COVID. Many of them lost jobs and people have to be admitted in the hospital. They were not knowing what to do. At that time, small hand loan helped them a lot. So you must know the loans play a major role in times of emergency. But emergency will come once in a way, but you cannot make a habitual borrower and habitual defaulter. So we have to keep. See, this kind of statistics will always tell you the liquid cash is the most important thing which you must keep. We call it as emergency funding all the time because you need to have some money in your hand for meeting the emergency. So sometimes meeting the expenses, 2-3 months of expenses, you can keep it as emergency fund in a liquid cash, bank deposit, or whatever you want. In case you fail, then you need to resort to borrowing. But if you're going to be a habitual borrower, then you run into trouble. Like I said, the high EMIs can also hurt you very, very badly. Many people think that they can borrow heavily from various sources available for buying a property or buying a car or whatever may be the purpose. But then if you look at their total of their EMI, their salary and EMI will almost come close neck to neck. In those situations, for want of cash flow, they will suffer too much. So understand what is your level of borrowing possible and live within that means. We always say, live within your means. And borrowing should be kept minimum. There should not be any problem. For that, once the loan is approved, you need to manage them properly and achieve your goals. And one more thing, you need to keep your credit score all the time in mind. And for that to happen, it will also help you to reduce your interest payments. If there is no default and if you're honoring the commitment, your automatically credit score will improve and interest payments will also come down. So keep all these points very well. Never borrow money for investing in, share or gold or whatever it is. Never do those kind of things. But for a large property, yes, it's possible. But never like to borrow money and invest here and there. That will not work in a big way. For creation of asset is maybe an exception. But huge debt, if you're going to carry, it will affect your mental peace also. So you have to be very, very careful about that. So the stability of your mind and your finances are very important for you. Now, we call these money habits and financial habits. If your habits are good and if you know how to handle the money properly, automatically you are the winner. Many people so it's very easy for you to understand that we need to handle the money very, very carefully. And another important point one should know is like medical doctor says, walking is a habit. The financial habit also plays a major role, whether it is for saving or whether it is for borrowing or for, putting the money in a proper asset class. All the three play a major role there. So be careful about, saving your money in a proper instrument and take it through. The personal finance can be very easily simplified by saying, once you have the saving in hand, all you need to do is how to invest money properly and where to invest money. These are all very important things to understand. Then comes your loans. Whether you can go to the office to borrow money, or you can go to some companies to borrow money, or professionally managed company which they give you money, it doesn't matter. But most important point is you need to be organized. There are various types of loans available today, whether it is a loan, gold loan, or loan against FD, or loan against mutual funds, loan against shares, property and insurance, and various things are there. But depending upon your end use, you decide, choose the right things first. Many times I find people misuse the loans. They try to borrow from A and try to pay back the B and then club it with C and all that. Never, ever do those kind of things. So you must be very clear what to borrow, for what purpose you're going to borrow, from where you're going to borrow, and are we getting the competitive interest rates? So your interest rate plays a major role because in your EMI, there are two components. One is repayment of capital. Second is your interest component. If your interest component is very, very high, you'll only be servicing the interest. So understand the trade very well before you take the next one. So, and some loans are, as I said, secured, and some loans are unsecured. You must know that also. Education loan is very, very popular today because everybody wants to study. Some people want to study abroad, some people want to study in universities, some people want to take extracurricular activities by borrowing money on education. All are good. Your credit score and your income, ability to repay, and of course the lender's policies, all are very important. These are all important loans one can take because you're going to study well, and ultimately it is going to help your profession. Short-term business loans, yes, but the purpose of the business is very important. There again, the viability of the business is important. Otherwise, if the cash flow doesn't permit him to repay the money, then again that loan can hit him very, very hard. Credit card, as I said, the interest rates are prohibitive. One needs to be extraordinarily careful. Credit card is very useful. It is a good tool to use it for emergency. You can buy regularly using credit card, but honor the credit card payments on time. If you know how to handle credit card, then that's the best. All that they ask you is to pay every month on the due date or before the due date. But I find majority of them are taking it easy and they don't care about the credit card repayments and keep on paying only the minimum amount and ultimately suffer on account of higher interest cost. Personal loans are very, very popular in India. I find banks are offering and NBFCs are offering, gold loan companies are offering, and many companies are offering that. But what is important here for you to understand is the purpose for which we are borrowing the personal loan plays a significant role. If you're going to borrow for a good purpose, for emergency purpose, and if you're able to pay back from your salary, there is no issue at all. Otherwise, you are going to keep on servicing the loan and you will run into trouble. So don't do that. Your objective should be to minimize and loans and keep your credit score very, very high. Your credibility plays a major role here. Who gets a loan? If your credibility is good by means of credit score, and if your ability to demonstrate that your cash flow is good, if your income is good, automatically you will be able to get loan from anywhere and everywhere. So today you are finding a lot of things where money is made available to you. The interest rate tells you how much you are able to borrow. And as I said, your credit worthiness is very important for you. Many people say that I am not able to get a loan. That is because their past records of repayment is not good. If your repayment is good, automatically your ability to borrow will go up. Long term, and depending on the market condition, it is possible. There are various things involved in interest rate calculation. Today's interest rate scenario, the rates are a little higher because of the higher inflation. The interest rates are likely peaked out or maybe closer to the peak, but definitely it will go down maybe from next year onwards. but fixed rate remains constant throughout the loan. So you must know the difference between fixed rate and floating rate or variable interest rate. That may be a better idea because the variable interest rate will also fall when interest rate falls. So you must know these kind of small differences. It eats you into your EMI. So keep these points very well in your mind before you take a decision on how to borrow money. A floating rate or a variable interest rate is extremely good in a scenario where the interest rates are going to fall or come down. We are having a lot of issues regarding the interest rates because people try to predict the interest rate. They say that I'll borrow money a little later. I'll borrow money, after 1 year, or I'll borrow money now so that, the interest rate, even if it goes up, it doesn't matter. All these predictions will not work because the borrowing is related to your requirement. I need the money now. I need to use it for some specific purpose. Then you can go ahead with borrowing. But if for some reason, if you think that money is not required now and the money can be postponed to a year or two, then the borrowing can be also postponed. So it depends on what the purpose of the loan, the end use of the loan, we call it. It's very, very important for you to understand. Different kinds of loans you can see from here based on the interest rate. Some are reducing balance loans. And the interest is calculated on the principal or the outstanding at the end of the specific period. You must know all these things. When you're repaying the loan, as I said, it has got two components, principal and the interest. So the principal will keep coming down very slowly because the major component in the initial year will go towards servicing of interest. However, if you're going to pay a larger amount once in a way, then automatically the principal will keep coming down and your loan amount also will come down and interest charge will also come down. You have to keep that in mind all the time. Interest is an expense actually. So we need to do that. You can amortize the loan, equal monthly installments over a long period of time. India, we are having long period for housing loans, 15 years, 20 years. There are balloon payment that represents remaining part of the principal balance. See, some people get some bonuses, some people get some incentives. They also go and repay some amount towards the loan. That also helps you to bring down your tenure of the loan. The loan is okay, but you must know how to manage the loan. If you're having 4 or 5 loans, I strongly recommend that you must talk to a professional, understand how to consolidate the loan, and debt consolidation. If once you do it, then you can reduce your interest outflow. Because the same EMI, you will be able to manage things much better. I've seen many people borrowing money for various purposes, but they think that it will get paid off over a period of time. It doesn't go like that. You need to pay attention to each borrowing and find out why you borrowed, when you're going to pay back, and how much interest you're paying in that, and whether you're able to service those kind of interest or not. Because we don't get any, for a salaried person, they don't get any incentive or tax concession by paying the interest. So you don't get any kind of advantage. Users have to pay only interest portion. Sometimes those kind of things. User pays both principal and interest. It is in your interest, it's our interest that principal and interest should be serviced simultaneously. The principal has to be reduced if you want interest to come down at some stage or other. Many times I've seen that people don't pay much attention to bring down the principal at all, but it will not help you at all. You need to pay attention for bringing down the principal so that the interest component will come down. And ultimately, it will help you to show a better creditworthiness at some stage or other. Because I've seen people struggling with money issues because they are not handle their loans properly. You must be seeing that. And some of them, sometimes because they are not able to manage it, they also end their life. In fact, I'm seeing the newspapers regularly because of their excess borrowing, because they keep on borrowing more and more, not being able to get professional help, and they don't know how to handle money matters properly in their life all of a sudden. It's not the right method to do it. I think you should know how to handle your money. Again, coming back to that, the habit of money and handling of money plays a major role for you to manage the loads extraordinarily well. It's a very simple theory, the principle of financial planning. It's not at all difficult, but you must know how to handle the different situation. Because on every day we need some money or other for some purposes, but many times we fail in our duty to, preserve our creditworthiness. So understand these things very well before you take any decision on borrowing. Likewise, that when the banker asks a question about your various types of loan, you must disclose what all things you have done and whether
Hello, everyone. Just give us 1 minute. I think there is a network issue and we'll be back very soon.
you're able to hear me.
Yes, sir. We can continue.
So I'm sorry. Yeah, I can go to the next slide. Yeah, this is the important one, that fees associated with the loans. Many times, like I said, if the people are not going to manage their affairs well, and they end up paying the penalty. And processing fee is a normal one everywhere, but then people can tend to negotiate, and sometimes during festive seasons, you get some processing charges waived or reduced. All these things are possible, but the late payment fees can never be negotiated for the simple reason you can't afford to miss the dates. Like I said, there are severe consequences if you're going to miss out the dates. because it will affect penalty. It will also attract your credit score. Then the interest rate will go up and the credit worthiness will get affected. So all these things are associated when you tend to delay knowingly or unknowingly. Many people, they say that I was traveling, I could not make the payment on time, or then they say I went here, there, I missed. Many times I hear people saying I didn't get the card on time, or some people say that I forgot. All these things, explanation has no meaning, because you must know as a responsible borrower when the due dates are. It is your duty to repay the money. So be careful about late payment fees. Prepayment penalty, sometimes, yes, it's also there. You have to ask before you borrow money whether these conditions apply or not apply. Prepayment is a good one, because you get an incentive, you get some bonuses, or you get some gift. You can always prepay. But if there's going to be a prepayment penalty, then you'll unnecessarily end up losing money. So ask them whether there is any prepayment penalty is there or not there, and then sign the documents. Because as I said, people don't read any document properly. They tend to believe that things will be in your favor. It will be in your favor, but then the lender has to take care of himself or herself very well. So you have to know what is what are your duties, what are your responsibilities, and ultimately you need to know what are the problems you will face in case you don't fulfill your responsibilities. This is what is important. Very simple it is. I must know my duty if I borrow money. I must know my responsibility of how to repay the money. It is my interest to go and meet the lender and tell him that this is what I have and this is what I'm going to do. So you can't come and tell us that I didn't know about this. There is no question of talking like that. There are a lot of borrowers like that, but in unsecured loan where documentations are not there, it is possible. But when you're borrowing from a corporate, when you're borrowing from a bank, then you have all the papers documented and well documented, and you need to know how they will proceed against you in case you fail to honor the commitments. So go through everything properly, and never ever show your ignorance after borrowing. Like I said earlier, your borrowing should be for a good purpose, good cause, and ultimately it should serve your purpose. And you should be in a position to pay back within your cash flow situation. Don't say that I'm expecting some money after 2 months, so I borrowed money, but that money did not come, so now I'm suffering. That is not a correct explanation. You must know when to borrow, how much to borrow, from whom to borrow, at what cost to borrow. All these are important for you. If you don't know all this, then better to wait or take a professional advice and then do it. I've seen many people take things for right. Choosing the right loan is very important for you. Checking and comparing the interest rate. You have to scout. That means like a shop, you must go around and find out who is cheaper. Today, if I tell people borrow money for housing loan, they immediately come back and tell me, sir, this bank is giving me floating rate, little cheaper than other banks. Somebody will come and tell me, sir, this private bank is able to offer me lower interest rate. How they're able to tell? Because they have done their homework properly. So do that comparison of your personal loan, education loan, two-wheeler loan, whatever loan you're taking, and then do a correct study and keep it with you ready in hand, so that whenever opportunity demands, automatically you can go and borrow money. And your eligibility criteria is very important. I'm drawing 30,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees salary every month. I must know how much I'm entitled to borrow. The lender will say, sir, I'll pay you 1 month salary, 2 months salary, 15 days salary, whatever it is. But you should know this much is only you're entitled for personal funding or personal loan. So you must know your eligibility criteria. You can't all of a sudden run around and say that I thought I will get 5 months salary or 8 months salary. You can't say that, depending on where you're working and what kind of experience you're putting, and depending on your income, the criteria will be changing from person to person. So you have to know this very well. During COVID time, again, I'm saying people didn't know where to go to scout for money because they were running from hospital to hospital to pay money. So this kind of emergency situation, at least the criteria, if it is known very well, then we could have tackled these issues easily. The documentation process is very important. This personal loan, generally they take few papers. So you must know what are the documents you have to sign, what is the repercussions of signing the paper, is there any implication? All those things you must know. So understand all this documentation. Loan amount, affordability. Don't borrow. If my salary is 25,000, I cannot borrow 25 lakhs and say that I'll pay back. If you don't have any income, you can't borrow such a high amount. Of course, lender will not give you, but even if he wants to give you a higher amount, you need to be careful about it. You must know what to borrow and how much to borrow. Never go overboard in that, because it will not help anybody here. Because everything criteria is fixed. In fact, if you look at the software today, if you put your net take home pay and your gross salary, automatically it calculates and say, this is the amount you are entitled to borrow. This is how most of the people have kept in their calculators today. So you can't say that with 30,000 rupees take home pay, I thought I will get about 40 lakhs or 30 lakhs. You will not get so much of money. So you must know that how these calculations work. And they'll also consider your other commitments. If I already have 40% out of 50,000 as my EMI, then your ability to borrow comes down drastically. I personally feel the EMI towards housing or any other EMI should not exceed 30% of your take-home pay. If your salary is 60,000, maybe 18,000 or 19,000, or out, the maximum outer limit can be fixed at 20,000 for EMI. You can't go beyond that. But if you're going to go beyond 20,000 for EMI, then you will have a problem in running your expenses, in running your thing. So be careful about that. And how does the company decide to give? Based on the credit score? As I said, your credit worthiness, your credit score are very, very important. Reasons for loan are important. You can't say I'm just applying for a loan and I'll use it for some purpose or not. Your fixed obligation to income ratio is very important. Like I said, they will everything check it. Debt to income ratio, that is also important. You can't pay off all your loan from your income and then say something. The DPF balance, of course, that I would think that you should not touch it, because it is meant for retirement. Don't touch the DPF balance for any purposes. And other things are your default history, gambling and pending things and all that. It's okay, but what are the loans you have borrowed and other things decide everything. If you're going to use it for gambling expense or application, you are to be blamed for that. So never go for loan for these kind of things. So the company decides based on various factors here. And if you're perennial defaulter, then your chances of getting loan approved, sanctioned is very, very low for you. So be careful about this and try to build a good credit score all the time. How the credit score can be improved? This is another question everybody asks. Will I get the highest credit score, or will I get lowest credit score, or what affects the credit score? It's a very simple mechanism. You go to any bank, any lender, any finance companies, they immediately put the credit score and tell you how much you have scored. And they'll also tell you how much you must have credit score to become eligible for loan. So these are all very simple things, but absolutely essential for you. Once you pay the bills on time, automatically your credit score improves. Suppose your last 3 years, you have borrowed money and you have paid the money on time, then there is no issue at all for you. Your credit score will be extraordinarily good. Credit utilization ratio is below 30%, like what I said. If you're going to have EMI of 30%, then your take-home pay less 30%, no problem about that. It's a normally allowed ratio and you are comfortable in repaying the money also. Then first and two automatically clicks there. And credit application, don't give it to all and sundry and then keep on borrowing left, right, and center. Never ever try to do that. It's a burden on you. And monitor your report, credit report regularly. And if there are any errors, point it out to them immediately. All credit accounts, yes, your job is to make sure nothing is kept pending. Secured and unsecured credit accounts, yes, you have to have a mixture in case you have got borrowings. Normally secured will go into this mortgage or vehicle loan, all these things will get into the secured category, whereas your personal loan will become, or education loan sometimes will become unsecured loan. And secured loan, you will think there is no collateral, nothing, but can do a lot of damages because there also is a loan and at a high cost. So you must know how to monitor these kind of unsecured loans as well. Never think unsecured loan is easy to handle. It is not easy. It is as difficult as anything else. So pay off on time and have a mixture of balance, secured and unsecured loans. These are all the documents you are all fully aware. Today, without PAN card, nothing happens. Whether you buy shares or you go to the bank for depositing money or opening the account or go to insurance policies or borrowing money, you need to have a PAN card, Aadhaar card, or whatever it is. All these things are very important for you. Keep the documents ready for you. Anytime they ask you, you must do it. Educational certificates come very handy if you're educated. And if you're having a good job, it becomes all the more easy for you to qualify for a loan. Of course, property documents and other things are okay, but that will have a little more scrutiny. But personal loan will not get into so much of detail. Of course, the business plan for business loan is a little more trickier. They'll ask for income tax papers, this, that, and all that, apart from your GST registrations and whatnot. So you must know which loan you're applying, what documentation you're having. So my recommendation is the simple things like Aadhaar, PAN card, and driver's license. All these things you must keep very handy. Make sure that criteria you fit into that. Keep your eligibility clear so that all these things come very handy in case of anything. And employment is very important. Today, if you want to borrow money based on your salary, then automatically the employment proof is very, very important. That employment letter, your salary slips, all these things make a lot of difference. And if you're an income tax payee, then IT returns will also come very, very handy. So all these documentation part of it, you keep it, bank statements everywhere, they'll ask you 5 months, 6 months thing along with the salary slips, and all these things are very important. And if you're having a vehicle, then vehicle documentation, all this play a major role today. So you must know which are the things one has to use it for, and whether these things will documentation is sufficient or they're asking something else. More than anything else, make sure apart from your borrowing, you are signing the correct documents. And I've also seen people borrowing money and giving guarantee for others. That's also very, very dangerous. So you have to be very careful about guaranteeing for others without knowing the amount of money your friend or anybody is borrowing. So be careful about giving guarantee for others while borrowing money. There are various strategies like whatever I have told you about the loan management or debt consolidation, we call it, or managing the various kinds of loan. Budgeting and planning helps you. Budget and planning go hand in hand. I have an income of 30,000 rupees salary. I must list out what are all the expenses I have, whether it is form of rent or conveyance or household expenses or education for my children. Then what is the surplus I have? Or if I have to borrow money, then how much money I have to repay that. So budgeting is very, very important. Even tomorrow you decide to travel, go nearby places, Mysore, Coorg, wherever, automatically you must have a budget for that. Within the budget, if you're operating, then 50% of your problem get resolved. So budgeting and planning are very, very important. Like I said, emergency fund plays a crucial role. A lot of people have realized this after the COVID, that they forgot to build one emergency fund. Today, I find a lot of people come to us and say, we want to have an emergency fund by means of keeping money in the bank deposits or in the liquid fund, in a mutual fund, so that it comes very, very handy in case of emergency. Maybe 4 or 5 months expenses, you can keep it. My expenses are 20,000, keep a lakh of rupees there permanently in emergency fund. That will not bother, should not bother you at all. And the return is not a great matter there. The safety of the emergency fund is very important, and the liquidity. You can't buy 1 lakh worth of land and say this is for emergency. You can't do that, because emergency fund means it has to be liquid. It has to be in deposits in a bank. I should be able to break it tomorrow morning and take out the money. I must keep the money in a liquid fund, in a mutual fund. Within 24 hours, I should be able to take it out. I cannot afford to lose 1 rupee in that. If at all I earn interest, 3%, 4%, doesn't matter. But the objective is the liquidity is always there in that. So keep an emergency fund all the time. So this is the lesson people have learned in the last 2 years, and they're building it depending on your capability. I'm not saying everybody should keep 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, but if your expenses are 10,000, keep 40, 50,000 rupees there. But that is the minimum you must keep it, so that your mind is free. Tomorrow you lose your job or you go here or there, some money can be drawn and used it for emergency. Increase repayment with a rise in income. Normally we say that your repayment started when you were 30,000 rupees salary. Now it has gone to 60,000. That time you were paying 30%, 9,000, 8,000 per month. Now 60,000, 30% is 18,000. So increase it slowly but steadily. Why we are doing that? Because reducing the loan will help you mentally and you keep you financially very, very healthy. So always try to step up your loan repayment. Never say that loan repayment will hurt you. Loan repayment, if you do it, will be always good. Loan management strategies are there. Debt consolidation, I think I've been talking for a long time. Consolidation means you need to talk to an expert and ask him how to consolidate my loan, how to reduce my interest outflow, and how do I manage my EMIs within the limited cash flow available. All these are important. You must list out each and every loan. What are the interest outgo? What are the date of payment? What is the tenure of loan? All these you list it out. And based on the interest cost, if the highest interest rate, suppose I borrowed 5 lakhs at 18% and 4 lakhs at 12%, another 1 lakh at 8%, then I should attack the highest interest rate first. That money has to be paid off first, so that my interest outgo automatically stops. So use that. Use windfall gain to repay costly debt. You get some money, some gift you are getting, some incentive you are getting, some bonuses you are getting, or somebody comes and gives you some money on account of love and affection. Automatically you can use that money to repay the debt. That's very important for you to know. As long as your debt is in your head, you must think that the knife is in your head all the time. So pay back that. Don't think that you're wasting money, but it is your duty to return the money when you borrow the money. So don't hesitate to repay the money whenever you have some surplus money available. Today, I find a lot of youngsters just like that. They are taking loans. There's no harm in taking loans as long as they're able to service it and you're able to use it for the right purpose and make lifestyle changes. Yes. if you are able, don't borrow money and spend money left, right, and center, and ultimately try to, have a modern outlook. That may not be worthwhile. You have to make sure that the loans are consolidated and ultimately paid off on time, so that you feel very, very happy about it. So all these things are important. You will try to learn things slowly but steadily. But the financial planning area of money management and financial management helps you to make you understand all these things extraordinarily well. So these kind of seminars are given to you to make you aware of few things about how to save money, where to invest your money, and what is an emergency fund, and what kind of loan you can borrow, and whether you should borrow money, at what cost you should borrow, and if you have too many loans, whether the loans can be consolidated. All these things, they are the purpose of these kind of seminars. These kind of seminars helps you overall. But if you have any specific issues, definitely you need to have a larger audience or a professional to help you out if you are having a complicated situation. But otherwise, these kind of awareness programs should give you a lot more insights about the loans. Now, there are some strategies, debt snowball, debt avalanche. All these things are various strategies, loan management strategies are available for you. Now, one should know how to use these kind of strategies very well. One thing I always find is people, when they find somebody is offering some loan, they don't pay too much of attention because they think that loan is easily made available to them. That is not the right strategy. As I said, it has to be linked to a purpose for which the loan is obtained. I borrow for some purpose and I use it for the same purpose. And I make sure that my cash flow helps me to repay. All these are in one circle. If you're able to do that, that's the one good strategy you can always adopt. You need to learn all these strategies extraordinarily well so that your debt is managed well and your credit score is kept higher and higher. If your credit worthiness is not there, then as I said, you will run into a lot more issues than what you think about it. So don't bother too much about the intricacies of the problems, but you must know that debt is the integral part of your financial planning, but you must know what to borrow and how much to borrow, and so that you don't get into serious issues very, very, very soon. So this kind of seminar, like I said, helps you to adjust everything very well. As I said, your cash flow should permit you to borrow what you need and afford to repay it. Like I said, you can't borrow money beyond your means. We need to be a smart borrower all the time. We call it smart investor, smart borrower. Why we are saying smart? Because we are going around in circle and comparing many things. And ultimately, we are borrowing from one place. So comparison of interest rates and what are the conditions under which we are borrowing, all these are very, very important. And if there are going to be stiff penalties and if there are going to be unusual some issues in the documentation, then we need to worry about it. So automate payments through your regular your ECS payment will always help you so that you do not worry about your memory. You will always repay the money on time. So that is very important for you to understand. Automation is very important. I think you have fairly covered majority of the points, and on the loans and also the financial planning. And with the limited time available, I think we have covered extensively about various types of loans and what are the conditions under which you can borrow money and how you can consolidate your debt and how your loan repayments have to be affected and how the credit score gets affected in case your repayment is not in order. Definitely one has to work hard to make sure that your earnings are there in place and savings are in proper place and ultimately it is invested properly, and then borrowing is also kept to a minimum for meeting the emergency and not for a regular habitual borrower and having a deficit financing all the time. Deficit is okay for government but not for individuals.
Sir, thank you. Thanks for the session, sir.
Thank you very much for hearing me. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity and my good wishes to each one of you. And thanks and congratulations, Refyne, once again.
Sir, we'll just move into the next part, which is basically the Q&A part.
Yeah.
So we have some questions from the audience that are
Yes.
present. So one of the questions that we have received is, what is the best investment a person in their mid-20s can make?
See, the mid-20s, you said, no?
Right, sir.
See, the mid-20s, the question always come about where to put your money in investing and all that. I would think that out of the 4 asset classes we have only 4 asset classes, whether it is a fixed income, gold, real estate, and equity. And I would think equity is the best asset class. And among that, equity mutual fund score very high because of professional management and transparency and all that. So I would think you should go for a good equity mutual fund as an investment vehicle for creating wealth on a longer duration.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for answering that. Sir, another question that we have also received is that how to become an independent person in their mid-20s financially.
It's very difficult to become financially independent. Financially independent, it is possible, provided you have your money management skills and healthy financial habits. If you're able to manage your money well, and if you're able to invest your money, and if you have an income surplus from your disposable income, and if you're going to invest properly, you become a financially independent. There is no problem at all in becoming an independent person. But 20 to 25 or 30 is very, very tough. But one has to be extraordinarily careful while investing money between 20 and 25. Never be greedy. Invest in a product which is regulated and which gives you a decent return. Don't go overboard in getting the returns and think that you will make big money.
Okay, sir. Thanks for answering that, sir. Another question is, sir, that I have an education loan and a personal loan. I am 26. I was thinking of buying a house. Is it fine to get a loan with all the other loans right now?
Like I said, you have to have a thumb rule of about 30% or 35% maximum as your EMI of your net take-home pay. I do not know your take-home pay. Assuming your net take-home pay is about ₹1 lakh, make sure that your repayment ability doesn't go beyond or stretch beyond 35,000 rupees, whether it is education loan, vehicle loan, or personal loan, or whatever loan. If it is going to cross 35,000, don't stretch yourself beyond by borrowing mortgage loan also now. It is better to avoid it. Nothing will happen. Pay off these loans and then start a fresh loan.
Sure, sir. That was really insightful, sir. So one last question that we have received from the audience is that a lot of people are talking about having multiple credit cards. So they want an advice on how should they deal with having multiple credit cards, or is it even prudent to have multiple credit cards?
Yeah, multiple credit card, no harm in that. As long as they are free cards, people are getting it now, there's okay. But make sure that the repayments are made on time. Never delay the repayment of any of the credit card, because if you miss one, they will charge you penalty and late fee and all that. So never do that. And second, don't borrow from one credit card and repay the second one or third one or fourth one. I've seen many people doing this. It's not at all a great strategy. So if unless absolutely required, 2 credit cards are sufficient. But perchance if you get 3 or 4, it doesn't matter. But make sure that the repayments are paid on the due date.
Sure, sir. I think those answers were really helpful. I think these were all the questions. These were all the questions that we have received from the audience. Sir, what we want to do after this is that we would want to basically, for summarizing and closing the session, I want to invite Mr. Karthik Krishna to the podium so that we can end the session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Narayan sir, for such an insightful session from your end. There were so many golden nuggets that we received today, and this will definitely help all of us to think better. In fact, when you were speaking, you were stressing on the fact that, having access to emergency funds is very, very important. And giving the example of COVID, I want to take this opportunity to share that this company Refyne, the sponsors for this particular event, was actually born during the pandemic. And when the company's founders identified, emergency funds as one of the pain points, and came up with this concept of having access to liquid cash, which is what we call as earned wage access. So it resonated really well with the philosophy of the company and the ideology and the principles that you actually shared. Thank you so much for highlighting the need. In fact, one of the aspects that I realized when you're talking is personal finance is easier to teach, but requires a lot of discipline and practice to implement. So with that, I want to take this opportunity to basically thank everybody who's attended this session. And I want to also let all of you know that now that you have got these golden nuggets from Narayan sir, we also want to take this opportunity to let you know that we wholeheartedly want to invite each of the participants to be a part of something called the Refyne Festival, which is currently in progress for the next 3 days. It is an extraordinary celebration of financial empowerment and transformation. So do join us for an unforgettable experience filled with discounts, invaluable insights, and you will also be part of a vibrant community. And that is where you will learn from each other and who are passionate about taking control of their financial well-being. So this is, now that you have understood and got some insights about financial planning, we want to really invite you for the next 3 days to try out the Refyne Festival so that you can put in practice some of the great learnings you got from Narayan sir today. So please engage with the industry experts, gain personal financial strategies, have access to some of the liquidation strategies like earned wage access, having access to your customized loans, looking at investments and other key Refyne products, which are all part of the Refyne umbrella of financial well-being. So thank you, everyone. We truly appreciate your presence. And also, again, want to thank Narayan sir for being part of this session and sharing his wealth of knowledge and information. So with that, we want to end this session today and see you all. And we hope we have touched a few lives today in the journey towards financial well-being. Signing off from Refyne, and thanks everybody, and have a great day and weekend ahead.